Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Harika. So in this video, I'm going to talk about parallel activity. So first of all, I'm going to explain you from basics like how this parallel activity actually works. So for that, let's pull a parallel activity into the sequence. Okay, so the parallel activity tries to execute all the sequences which are there inside the parallel simultaneously and also asynchronously. So what I mean by that, let's take an example and look into that. I'm pulling a sequence. Okay, so now I have three different sequences. Okay, this is sequence 1, 2 and 3. So let's take a log message. And one more, I'm just copying here. So this is my sequence 1, this is 2, and here I have sequence 3. Okay, so what I'm going to do, let's take a message box. These are all the things that I'm doing to just check the functionality of the parallel activity. Okay, and let's introduce some delay here. Okay, what is the delay amount? Let's say 2 seconds. So I'm going to debug the file with a slow step so that we can understand how the control is switching from different sequences. So if you see, the first sequence got executed and I can check the output in the output panel, sequence 1, right? And then it has gone to the sequence 2 to execute. And then if you see, some delay has been given here. So it has waited for 2 seconds before it actually prints the sequence 3. So this is the case when the condition of this is false. So parallel activity has a property which is called as condition. So by default, this value is false. So when it is false, it will try to execute all the sequences that are there inside the parallel activity. But let's understand how this actually varies. So let's say I'm having my delay over here. So it's in the end, right? So let's pull this into the first sequence. Now this is sequence 3, 1 and 2, correct? So now if the delay is here, usually how the activities would work, first it would be executing this activity, this whole sequence, and then shifting to this and then to the last one, right? But let's understand how the parallel activity will help us to minimize the time taken to run the whole process. Okay, so let's debug this. So if you just observe, as it has seen a delay over here, which is 2 seconds, the control has been switched to this sequence. So first sequence 1 will be executed. I mean, this will be printed, and then it will be switching to the next sequence. And finally, sequence 3 will be executed. So if you see 1, 2, and 3. If it's confusing for you, let me change this. 1, 2, and this would be 3, right? Let me debug this. So it would be executing as 2, 3, and then 1 because it has a delay. Okay, let's check the output. Let's do 3 and 1, right? So in this way, we will be eliminating the delay, like whatever the, it's not eliminating the delay, but whatever the delay is there, during the delay, the other sequences would be utilizing the time and that would be executing. So that's how we can save the time that is taken in order to wait or delay or perform that particular action in a sequence. So that's how it works in case of if the condition is false. So let's try to change the condition to true and see how this actually works. So for that, let me go for a simple sequence. Okay, I'm not doing anything, just changing this to here and then here, right? So now what I am doing, so let's debug this file and see how this actually works. So if you just observe, it has not executed the sequence, the second sequence and the third sequence. Only the first sequence has been executed. So sequence 2 will be printed in the output panel. Correct, right? So in case when the condition is true, whatever the condition that we give here, if this value is true, whatever the first, it's not the first sequence, but whatever the sequence that there is no dependency on, that sequence would be executed first. So let's say if we pull this here, there is a delay, right? So it has to wait for 2 seconds. Meanwhile, if there is any sequence that doesn't have a dependency, then that sequence would be executed. So as per that statement, this would be executed even though if this sequence is placed first. Okay, so let's run this and check it out. So there was a delay that it has observed, and if you see, sequence 2 is printed, which is a second sequence, correct? So that's how it actually works. So I hope this is clear. Let's take us another example with element exist and see this, how we can execute based on the conditionable variations. Okay, so for that, what I'm going to do, let's take off the delay and take an element exist into this, and we copy. Okay, fine. So for element exist, I'm going to go over here and take up this element, and for this I would name it as, let's say, element 1, and for second I would take this and say it as element 2, and for this let's do something different. Okay, so I am getting this error message, right? So what I'm going to do, indicate this on screen, pick up this value, check the selector. Okay, this is not having the AA name, so let's try to capture AA name as well. Okay, save. Okay, now I'm going to load a new page so that I don't see the error message. So now this is a test for you. Okay, you have to take a guess how this actually works. Okay, so now I'm giving the condition as false. Okay, so as per the false condition, it will be executing all the sequences, right? Let's put a delay of 5 seconds. Okay, because it will be executing, so we don't want to wait 30 seconds for that. So as per that, which sequence would be executed first, you have to take a guess and check the output on the screen. So now first let's check the flow, how this actually works. So if you see, first it's just validating all the element exist, and then coming to the sequence 1 and then 2, and then it waited for 5 seconds because the sequence is not there, element is not there, and then it executed sequence 3, correct? So that's how the flow actually happened. So now what I'm going to do, let's shift this to here. Okay, for your understanding, I'm changing this. Okay, fine. Now it's time to take a one more guess, which in which order it will be executed. So it has first checked all the element exist. So, and then if you see, what would be the output of this? It should be as per what we have seen in the previous examples. As this element and this element are there, it will first say sequence 1 and sequence 3, and finally after it will come to this sequence where it will wait for 5 seconds and then say sequence 2, correct? 1, 3 and 2, right? So that's how it actually works. And now let's check it out how this actually varies in case of true. So just execute this and see. So we have learned in case of in case of a condition where it is true, this will execute only the activity where there is no dependency, right? So sequence one, we all knew this output. Let's change this to here. In that case, what sequence will be executed? This one, right? Because this has a dependency, this element is not there, so this will be the output. Did you see? Sequence one, which is this one, correct? So that's how it actually works. It will be executing simultaneously and asynchronously. So based on a condition, whatever we are giving here, if it's true or false, based on that it will be executing. And it also depends on whatever the activity that whatever the sequence that doesn't have a dependency, based on that also it will be varying. So two things that you have to keep in your mind here: one is based on the condition and other one is based on the dependency that it has. So if there is a dependency, the control will be switched to the next sequence. So when these things happens, so we will be saving some time over there, right? So that's how it actually helps in order to create solutions wherein we can, you know, save a lot of time at the end of the day, right? So that's how it actually works. If you have any questions on how this functionality works, or if you're facing any issues on working while in the parallel activity, so do let me know in the comment section. And if you find this video useful, do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel.